Hey guys, Phil Benham here, and thanks for watching. Now, you saw in the video above where Carl showed you some of these elements that he created that were actually inside of an email. So he created one email with several different elements all inside just to show you what they might look like inside of an email. Now, those could be modified any way you want. You can put them in any templates that you want. It's just really easy to use. I'm going to take you through the back end here and show you what your customers are going to see once they get inside of the application. Now, you'll notice the first thing that they're going to see here is their list of collections. Now, there's a little video here that shows you more about the structure of the application and how to use it. There's also a short video tour they can watch here, but I mean, it's pretty simple. We have a little GIF file here showing them all they have to do is click one of these buttons and name their collection, and then they can start adding elements. Now, collections are a great way to organize all of your elements. So if you have, let's say, an offline client and you're creating email campaigns for them, you might want to have one collection for that particular client. Or let's say you're doing a promo or a particular ad campaign and you want all the elements dealing with that promo or that ad campaign inside of one collection. So collections are just a very easy way of organizing all of your elements. So they're basically containers for elements. So let's go ahead and add a new collection here and see how easy it is. We'll just title this Demo Collection. And description, I don't want to describe it now, but if I needed to, in order to differentiate it from other collections, I could do that there. Go ahead and click Create Collection. Now notice the first thing that happens here is now that we're inside of a collection, we can start adding elements. So basically we're doing this again. We're showing the screen again. We're telling the customer, now you can create your first element. So first you had to create your first collection. Now you create your first element. So again, it's very easy. Just click the big purple button. And instead of just giving you like icons or a list of the different types of elements that you can create, we made it a little bit more intuitive in that the folks are going to be able to choose an objective for that element. So really they're not looking for a particular element, but they're looking for a particular reason for using one of these elements. So in other words here, when they highlight a single call to action, this is building a contrasting bulletproof button to attract attention. So it gives you a lot more insight into what this element actually does for your business, right? Again, with the countdown timers, generate urgency for a time-based offer, build a live ticking countdown timer. So we do explain what it is, but then now if they want to kind of see what it might look like, they click this little info icon here, and it kind of shows you what it might look like inside of an email and explains why this particular element would be important for your particular campaign, right? So now this becomes a lot more useful to your users because now they can see what it might look like, what these elements actually do, and an explanation of how they might be important to their particular campaign, right? So let's go ahead and create a button. We'll just click this. And now what it does is it gives us a particular button, right off the bat. It gives us an easy button to start from scratch. But now notice that we have a tour going on. And this tour will continue until a user has created at least 2 elements. Okay, so this is basically telling them, what's going on here, right? You've created your first element. Let us show you around a little the element settings area. Here you'll be able to customize the element to your heart's content. Just click through the tabs to change the settings. Very easy, right? So next, we'll show them the preview area. So this is where you're going to preview the element that you create. And then we're also going to show them that they need to save the settings so that the system can actually create the code for their element. If you leave the element page settings with this element settings page without saving changes, won't be saved. So again, in other words, kind of showing the user around, Very easy things here, but I think it's really important so that a user isn't left kind of like, what do I do next, right? So let's go ahead and see what's next. It shows them what this particular icon might mean. It's the draft. It's actually a status of the element. There's draft, there's processing, and there's get code. And it tells you a little bit about what those mean. And then finally, we tell them, after they're done editing, they can click this to go back to their list of elements or their collection, right? So then they get started, right? So let's kind of show you some of the settings here. We have two different tabs. We have the design tab and the details tab. Of course, this is the settings area and this is the preview area. There's a little video here that'll show you a little bit more about this particular element. Just in case, someone wants to get more in depth about what these settings might mean. So here's the button color. I'm going to go ahead and choose, our email Dino purple here. And we do the text color. I mean, this looks great right off the bat, but I mean, if you wanted to do something like gray or whatever, you could. I mean, I think the white looks fine, right? So you can choose from several different fonts. Okay, you could make the text a little bit bigger. You can make the text weight bold or normal. You can do the width of the button, make it wider. You can do the height. All right, and you can change the height of the button. So all these really look good right now, but let's say I wanted just a regular square button. I don't want to have any rounded corners. So I'll go ahead and drag this all the way to the left. Now I could take this and drag it to the right, and I could have really rounded corners. I could even make it kind of like a circle button here by dragging all the way across. So this just gives you a little bit, I mean, it's not as customizable as, maybe something you might find on, OptimizePress or Leadpages. But remember, this is for email, and we're building these elements on concepts or design strategies that are specific to meet all email standards. So it's actually pretty complicated once you start thinking about it. I mean, some of the buttons inside of email, like MailChimp or some of the ones that come with Aweber, those kind of things. Those buttons are pretty good, but there are better standards for building these kind of buttons, and we're using those standards inside of Email Dino, just to give you an idea of what this is really all about here. So on the details, of course, this is where we put our URL. We can put whatever URL we want. We can put the button text, make it say whatever we want. And if we needed to change some things after we've done that, we can always go back to the design tab, right? So I'm just going to put here emaildino.com. Okay. And then we just save it. And we'll notice that this turns into a get code link. Now remember, the tour will continue until the user's created 2 elements. So once we go back to the collection, we'll have another tour that again tells us what this means, what these different icons mean. And once they add a new element, let's go ahead and click this. Then of course that tour won't happen anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and then go back to the collection. And let's see. Notice that these are kind of weird names, right? So I'm going to actually delete this. If you see this goat 4869, let's go ahead and edit that. And we go up here to the top and we could title this whatever we want to title it. But this just kind of, gives it a title without you having to worry about it. I mean, you can actually let these go on, for however long you like without naming them. But it's a good idea to go back through and kind of name these so that you have a good understanding of what these elements are for, or what their purpose is in whatever campaign you're using, right? So in this case, I might just call this test button, right? Now I'm going to know what kind of element it is inside of my collection and the list of elements. You'll notice the green button here. So I know this is a button. I know this is a countdown timer. when I create a, uh, this is a personalized image. Let's just say I'm going to save this, go back to my collection, and you'll notice that we have this image here. So each one of these icons is going to tell you what type of element they are. But it's always better to, name this. Also, you see at the top here, we say countdown timer or personalized image or button. So, there's really no way to get lost here, but we do a lot of stuff for the user, like right off the bat, without them having to think about it. So it's a really easy app to use. So let's go ahead and look at this countdown timer again and show you how we can change some of these settings. Now, some of these are really neat, but you've probably only seen a couple of these types. I mean, you've probably seen these on the web everywhere, but you haven't seen them, inside of an email. And because the reason I know this is because I look at all of the email countdown timers out there, and I know that it's very hard to create some of these. In fact, you have to use some specific JavaScript libraries and Phantom.js and all this other kind of stuff that I don't want to give out. And it's also very server intensive, just so you understand. Notice that when I changed the template here, the days are blank. And the reason is because they're white, right? So I need to change this color. Let's go ahead and make it purple so that we can see. And let's say I want to do, now in this case, I can change the font even, right? So let's go ahead and see. I just want to see what this calligraphy font looks like. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful, right? So it kind of gives you a little bit of font here, and I want to, like, instead of have this label be red, I want to, let's say I want to make it purple, but let's make it a little bit lighter. You think lighter would be good or darker? Anyway, let's just do lighter. And let's make the background. Oh yeah, this is fine. I think this is fine. Let's make the expired text color that same purple, right? And that's looks like that's it. Right, so this looks great, I think. On the details, this is where you select your date, put your hours, when the countdown timer expires, and of course the central time, or time zone. The expired text you can change. Now notice this says stay tuned for more, but this only says stay tuned for. So what we do is go back into the design and just reduce this expired text font size until we get that, it fits, right? So this is all responsive too. So when you use this inside of your email, it's responsive and it'll work on any email client, and it'll grow or shrink depending on the client. Another example here would be, we saw these circle timers. I think these circle timers are cool. And you saw that with Carl's demonstration, but let me show you. This one's like a text-based timer. Let's go ahead and change that template. And notice it has, this is really neat. I mean, this is great. I love it. I think I'm going to leave it just like this with the way the colors are. That looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and save this. And you'll notice that we have a processing icon here. Now, what is happening in the system's actually going in and, looking at all the different, settings here and creating some of these things that we're going to be using when we create the code on the fly when people use it in their emails. And after this processing, it becomes this get code, right? So you can actually click right in here and copy and get this code copied to your clipboard and go directly into your email service provider and paste this anywhere HTML is allowed, right? So it's that easy. And notice that we're doing a lot of things that, a lot of email service providers and other countdown timers and things like that don't do. If you look at this code closely, you'll notice that we're doing something called MS text size adjust, and where we do MSO table L space. Now all this stuff is very, very particular to email. I guess you'd say the visibility inside of emails. And in fact, these particular things with the MSO is having to do with Microsoft Office. But this is all very, very, complicated stuff when it comes to email design. And you're only going to find this in some very, high tech email design companies like Litmus or, um, something like that. So just understand that this kind of code here is perfect for email and it's been tested on every device, every email client. So let me just go ahead and get out of this. And you'll notice that the elements, so we covered this countdown timer, the button. We can look at this personalized image. You can do this with anything. One of the things I was doing is you just, click this and you can upload a file. One of the things I was doing is I had a t-shirt, right? So I took this t-shirt inside of the system. See how easy that is? I mean, it just uploads. It looks beautiful. And then you have this F name. So we're going to go ahead and put this down here. Notice it's white. So I guess before I put it down there, let me go ahead and change the font color to this purple here, right? Actually, it might be a little bit darker. Let's just go ahead and drag it. Yeah, see, it's going to be darker there. But let me change the font weight to bold. See if that does anything. I want to change the font because I want to kind of match this font that's on here already. And I think in this case it might be, well, it looks like a sans serif. So try Oswald? No. Okay. I thought I did this before and I came up with a good one. So I'll get it here. Arvo, no. Bear with me, guys. I think cabin. There, cabin looks good, right? We could change the font color to be a little bit darker here. In fact, I know the exact font for this, so I could get it. Let me see if I have it open still. There it is. So I'll copy this, and we'll get back into it. And I'll just go ahead and pep this code in here. What? Really? Okay. Maybe I didn't copy it right, but paste. There it is. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now that's the font. If I want to make it smaller, I could drag this to make it a little bit smaller. There we go. And now notice that we have this F name here. This is going to be your merge tag with whatever email service provider you use. All right, so you could use whatever. It could be, if it's Aweber, it's going to be something else. If it's, Campaign Monitor, it's going to be something else. So you'll have to use whichever merge tag that is specific for your email service provider. So whatever the first name is, you can use that. You can use the entire name, first and last name. You can use whatever variable that you want to use. Like if you wanted to use their city, for saying something like everybody in my case, Houston, Texas, I might put, a background of like several different buildings that are recognizable, one out of each major city or something, and then have, is your city listed and, are you in New York or whatever it is. And so whatever city is associated with that person in your email service database will get put right on the image there. So this could be very, very useful in just about any market here. All right, so let's go ahead and stop that shadow. I can put a shadow on the text if I want. Not that big of a deal. I could also make the text transparent if I wanted to. If we wanted to make sure that it didn't, block something on the image for anything. Anyway, let's go ahead and save that. And let me log out of this particular account and log into my real account, or not my real account, but one that I'm using for this promo. And let's look at the analytics just to kind of see what's going on here. Now, on my dashboard, you'll notice that I have 104 impressions. Now 0 clicks, but that's because some of these elements aren't clickable. So if an element is clickable, and we'll be able to track the clicks for you, right? So in this case, I had the launch elements. I had this demo and the launch elements. The demo, these are collections. So let's see what's in the demo collection. We have 52 impressions there, and you'll notice that they're all on this particular um, element here. So let's go ahead in the details there, and it just shows us that we have 51 impressions, right? And it shows us the days that we're having those impressions. And if this element is a countdown timer, so it's not clickable itself, but this kind of just shows you, when is the most active. And this particular element is one that's inside of the emails that we're providing affiliates, right? So on day 5, I believe it is, on our first and second emails, we're using the countdown elements, and this is one of those, right? So these views are only coming from, we haven't even put the page live yet, but these views are coming from the actual page. So no matter where this element is being shown, when it is delivered, or the server actually gets a request to serve this image or this particular countdown timer, then it gets counted inside of our system. Notice that we also are going to tell you not only the impressions, but whether or not these impressions were active or expired. So you'll be able to click on this expired to, there's 0 impressions on the expired link because this hasn't expired yet. But if I were to click this active, you'll see that it won't show, these are the active aren't being shown right now, the active impressions. So, and I guess this is kind of hard to understand, but it's whether or not the countdown timer is active or expired, right? So you might have, and this is good information because you might have, a promo you did, and 2,000 people saw it while it was active, and another 500 people saw it while it was expired. So you know that, you might have extended that a little bit longer in order to get those 500 people that looked at it and noticed that the countdown timer wasn't working, or it was expired at that point, and so they didn't take action. So that might be something you might be interested in, is to looking at these stats for, when people saw the active countdown timer and the expired countdown timer. The other thing, let's go back into the dashboard. There's one more countdown timer, and that was inside of this launch elements. And again, this was the second countdown timer inside of, so this is the circled timer inside that second email on day 5. And this, again, just shows you the impressions, basically. And these are impressions coming from the JV page. So I put this countdown timer inside of the JV page emails, the sample emails, but I also gave you the code so that you can use those in your emails. And they're already, it's already set for the launch, end of the launch date. So you can use those during your launch, or like I said, on day 5, it's whatever you want. One's the circle timer and one's the text-based timer. All right, so the other thing is, if you have if your users buy one of the OTOs, which is the agency, they'll have this users link here at the top. They can add new users, and any user that they add, I think that comes with up to 20 users, but any user they add will get an email, that they've been added to the system. And when they come in and start to use Email Dino under that agency umbrella, they'll be able to use whatever elements that agency owner has. So you remember that inside of the collections is where we have the elements. So when you add a new element, you'll see all the elements that are available to you. Now, the front end is the countdown timer, the personalized image, and the video overlay. So right here. So they'll only see 3 of these elements inside of their, inside of their Email Dino backend. Now, when they purchase the upgrade, the master upgrade, they'll get the rest of the elements, right? And then the second upgrade is the agency version. So if they only purchase the front end, they don't buy the master edition, but they do buy the agency, then their users will be able to use only those elements that they have. But the other thing to remember is that, let me go ahead and log out of this account and log in with the dummy account. All right, so I'll just log in here. Notice that we have this upgrade tab that'll be here for anyone who has not purchased any of the OTOs, right? Or so, like, let's say they purchased OTO 1, but they didn't purchase OTO 2 or 3, right? Well, they'll be able to purchase those inside of this upgrade tab. And the other thing is true too, where we discussed just a minute ago. If they purchased the front end, but they didn't get the master upgrade to get all the elements, and they did the agency, they may want to upgrade back to that master version so that they can, all of their agency users can use all the elements. So those are some things that are available inside. And of course, all these links are going to be naked links. So if you've already hit them with your affiliate link, then you'll get credit for these purchases inside of the system. So just be aware of that. And I think that's an added bonus for you. All right, well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you really like the application. And if you have any ideas for ways to improve it, be sure to let us know. I'm sure Carl is going to have some really good insight as to how to promote this to your list and what angles to take it from. This could be used in anything, whether it's offline or affiliate marketing or e-commerce or mobile marketing. Just anything this could be used for. And if you really want higher email click-through rates, having these elements inside of your emails is the best way to do it. Now, copywriting is important, sure, and the open rate is important, right? So, that the subject line and the pre-header text, those are important things for your email. Don't get me wrong. But when you have a high open rate and you have like 40-50% open rate, but you only have a 1 or 2% click-through rate, that just hurts. Every time I look at my emails, when I send out emails and I get a 1 to 2% click-through rate, and, I'll be like, wow, what am I doing wrong? Why are they not reading my emails? Why are they not clicking inside? And, it could be much more to do than, it's a text-based email, and maybe the links are, they're just not attractive enough, because every email nowadays, especially, the ones from the bigger companies like Netflix and Walmart and Target and Amazon, these are all beautiful emails that they want to click on these things. And when they see these engaging elements like video overlay and the buttons and the rating systems and surveys and the countdown timers, and they're just going to want to engage with you more in your email system. That's all I have to say about it. Thanks for watching, and very good luck with the promo. We really want to knock this one out of the park. Bye-bye.